Hey Kristen, thank you very much for your video response. Love the enthusiasm. Good news for you is I love hummus too, and I'm going to teach you how to make it. Everybody else watching out there, if there's anything you have questions on or there's anything you want to learn more about, feel free to post a comment below and I'll respond to it, teach you how to make it, or answer your questions. So on to the hummus. If you want to have hummus, there's a couple options you can do. You can go to the store. Any grocery store is going to sell hummus. That's the easiest, least path of resistance for you to get to it. It'll be delicious, but it'll just be store-bought. Next step is, if you want to put a little bit more effort in, you can go online and figure out when the next farmer's market is going to be in your area. Generally at farmer's markets you can find someone that's going to be selling a few different ranges of hummus, and you can just buy it from them, and that'll be pretty delicious. But you'll pay a little bit of a premium because it's a farmer's market and guys are shipping it in from their farms and they're trying to make a living off of it. If you want to get real ambitious, you can make it at home. Go online, you can find a lot of recipes that tell you how to make it. A lot of them tell you to start with a can of garbanzo beans or chickpeas, basically the same thing. The problem with doing that is when you buy a can of it, it's going to have its own liquid that's kind of a preservative for it. The beans are already cooked. It's easier for you because you just open the can and you dump it out and you can start making your hummus. But the problem is the liquid they have the preservatives in, it's going to take a little bit away from the flavor, and when you end up with your final product, you're not going to get the fresh deliciousness that you're going to get from taking the one final step. So if you're really serious about this and you put a little bit of effort in, you can get a really delicious product, and it'll be good on all sorts of things, wraps, pita, any kind of Greek food you're going to do. So what you want to do is go and buy some dry garbanzo beans. Depending on where you live, your grocery store may or may not have them in the dry format. I went to the Safeway in San Francisco and they were just in the canned format. So I had to do a little bit more legwork. Went to Whole Foods, they have those in the bulk section, and you just get them out of the bin. It's not very expensive. So you get those. You also get, it's called tahini. It's a common ingredient that is in hummus that you also probably need to get from Whole Foods. I checked Safeway, they had heard of it, but we looked around, couldn't find it there. So those two things are a little bit off. Most of the other ingredients are kind of up to you on what you want to do. You're generally going to have lemon, you're generally going to have garlic and olive oil, but beyond that you can kind of add whatever you want. You said you had some stuff that had some ground beef, sun-dried tomatoes, kind of mix up whatever you want. I generally like putting a little bit of cilantro in there. I like cilantro a lot. So first things first is, when you cook with dry beans, you're going to have to soak them. The minimum that you should soak them is about 4 hours. Sometimes that's not convenient for people, so you can just put them in a bowl, soak them overnight, and then come to it the next day. Soak them over 4 hours isn't going to hurt them, but you need to soak them for at least that amount of time to help them tenderize and be prepared to cook. It'll cook faster and more efficiently and more completely if you do it that way. So what I'm going to tell you right now is I have these garbanzo beans. Most recipes call for 16 ounces, which translates to about 2 cups. So when you get the dry ingredients, it's harder to measure ounces, so you can just figure 2 cups. And when you soak them, you generally do a ratio of 1 cup of dry beans to 2 or 3 cups of water. So right here I have 2 cups of garbanzo beans, 6 cups of water. I'm going to mix them together, set it overnight, and then I'll come back and we'll figure this out tomorrow. This will also give you time to go buy other ingredients that you don't have yet or start thinking about what you're going to put it on. Alright, I'll see you tomorrow. Oh, hey Kristen. Good morning. How'd you sleep? I slept great. I had images of garbanzo beans dancing in my head all night. It was glorious. Anyway, we let the garbanzo beans we put in the refrigerator set overnight. It's been about 10 hours. Like I said, it's not a big deal if it sets for more than 4 hours, but you want to let it sit for at least 4 so it'll soften up. If you don't do that, it's going to take a really long time to cook. So, drained out the salt water, added some clean water to a pan, just got it boiling right now. It's going to take about an hour or two. You just want to keep checking it to make sure it's done. You'll know it's done when you squeeze it and it's soft. Something you also want to do is make sure you keep checking it, because the water will evaporate off and get absorbed, and if you let it all evaporate off, then the garbanzo beans in the bottom of the pan are going to burn and it's going to ruin everything. So make sure you check it. Come in a little bit closer and I'll show you what you need to do when it first starts boiling. You get this weird layer, and just want to make sure that goes away. Come on in here. We'll check it out. It's nice. So when you're cooking the garbanzo beans, you're going to get, right when you first start, you're going to get this foam layer. It's a little reaction that happens when you start cooking it. You want to spoon that out. Alright, Kristen, we're almost done. This took about an hour to cook, and I think that was shorter because I soaked it in water for so long. If you don't take advantage of the soaking, then the cook takes a little bit longer. So, now you're going to see how easy it is to make your own hummus, and you're going to see how much more delicious it is when you make it on your own. So delicious. Anyway, strain out the water, put your garbanzo beans in the blender, add a couple of cloves of garlic. I put 2 cloves of garlic in. I cut a lemon in half, and I put lemon juice from 1 whole lemon in, and you're going to put the tahini in, 1 tablespoon of that, and then you blend it up. That'll give you your base hummus, and then you can add whatever you want to it. There you go. It's just that simple. After you cook the garbanzo beans, you throw them in the blender or food processor, mix up the ingredients, and you have a delicious hummus. As you can see, I've garnished this with a little bit of cherry tomatoes, but you can add anything you want. The sky's the limit. Alright, thanks again for your question, and hopefully this helps. Let me know how your hummus turns out. Alright, talk to you next time.